This is Oklahoma's own News on 6.
First on 6, attorneys for former Tulsa police officer Betty Shelby wanted Tulsa County judge to dismiss the manslaughter case against her.
Shelby is the Tulsa police officer charged with shooting and killing Terrence Crutcher last September. Her attorneys tell News on 6 reporter Annie Chang there is insufficient evidence in the case. Annie's live at the alert desk now. Annie?
That's right. Terry and Craig, Shelby's attorneys filed these motions just a few hours ago, claiming her use of deadly force against Terrence Crutcher was justified and the charge against her should be dismissed.
The police video has been watched around the world, but questions still swirl around what happened between Officer Betty Shelby and Terrence Crutcher in the minute and a half before she shot and killed him in September 2016. Shelby's attorneys are asking her case be dismissed for several reasons. First, they say Tulsa Police Homicide Sergeant Dave Walker, who was assigned to investigate the case internally, interviewed Shelby 3 days after the shooting. She was emotional in that interview, and her attorneys say that was used against her to support the first-degree manslaughter heat of passion charge. The defense claims that interview is not relevant because it was done several days after the incident. The defense also claims District Attorney Steve Kunzweiler charged Shelby with manslaughter before Walker even completed his investigation. They believe Walker did not find enough evidence to justify that charge. They claim Walker even told Kunzweiler over the phone this was a, quote, unwinnable case.
Now, Sergeant Dave Walker tells me he has not yet read those motions and has no comment. District Attorney Kunzweiler says he believes there is sufficient evidence to make Shelby stand trial. We have his full statement online at NewsOn6.com. I'm Annie Chang, News on 6.
New at 10, Tulsa police are investigating a deadly crash near North Sheridan and South Pine. It happened just before 7 this evening. All lanes of southbound Sheridan had to be shut down while officers investigated. Police say a white pickup heading southbound on Sheridan hit a pedestrian. Witnesses say the victim didn't look both ways before walking into the street. No other information is being released just yet on the victim or the driver. We almost hit 80 degrees today in Tulsa, but winter weather is on the way.
Expect about a 40-degree temperature drop tomorrow, and Travis says that's just the beginning of kind of a roller coaster ride.
I think you're right, and if you stay awake for about 3 or 4 hours, it'll be right here in Tulsa, that 40-degree difference. So again, it's coming fast, but highest temperature ever in January in Tulsa is 82, and we were in the upper 70s to 80. That shows you how wild the weather has been today, and we had strong southwest winds, multiple fires, and grass fires were common across the area. Now, what's going on tonight? Cold fronts now making headway just north of Tulsa. Look at the temperature difference between Tulsa at 70, Bartlesville at 44, 38 in Ponca City, and the rest of the southeastern Oklahoma 60s to low 70s. So again, enjoy that mild weather while we have it because it is rapidly changing. Winter storm watches now in effect for areas from Tulsa and I-44, pretty much from Miami to Tulsa to Oklahoma City and back to the north and to the west. And that'll be going through the weekend starting tomorrow night. Now, give you an idea here, the latest information continues to show Tulsa's on the line. I-44 is the place where ice is going to accumulate. Higher probability to the north and to the west. How much? That's a big question mark that we will answer. In the meantime, as I said, enjoy these temperatures. 60s to around 70 have been common, but winter is sliding back in. We're going to talk about where the ice is located and also just how bad and where is all this going to happen. Details coming up shortly.
Okay, thank you, Travis. With the threat of winter weather, several communities across Green Country are finalizing plans to treat any icy roads. The city of Tulsa says it has nearly 8,700 tons of salt on hand, with 2,000 more tons coming in tomorrow. City crews will start coming in at midnight tomorrow to begin treating roads. Their focus will be on main streets and certain portions of busy highways. And city crews in Owasso are already out treating roads ahead of possible winter weather. They're putting out a brine mixture on main roads. The mix makes it more difficult for ice to form.
The National Weather Service office in Tulsa is providing daily briefings on the incoming winter weather to emergency managers throughout northeastern Oklahoma. Some communities are preparing for heavy rains, while others are monitoring freezing rain and ice. News on 6 reporter Tony Russell shows us how emergency management in Muskogee is getting ready.
The system's out there where we're just making a good estimate of what we can.
This is how first responders and emergency managers are spending their afternoons.
The watch in our part of the area indicates the locations where we think we may need an ice storm warning. Not every part of the watch will necessarily be in the ice storm warning, but this is the area that we're most concerned about.
Meteorologists with the National Weather Service are preparing them for ice, severe storms, and flooding. It all depends on where you live. Muskoge's emergency manager, Mark Bolding, makes sure he loops in other city departments when the Weather Service holds their storm briefings.
We share it with our schools, we share it with our public works. We get them prepared whether it's going to be for icy weather or for flooding weather.
The biggest concern for Bolding is flooding. Roads on the south side of town are prone to flash flooding. The last time heavy rain hit the city, several drivers were stranded in the floodwaters. Bolding wants to make sure drivers remember the dangers of flooded roads.
Not only does it wash them off the road, but we've got the responsibility of sending first responders in there to rescue them, and we also put them in danger. So by all means, if you see high water, turn around and go the other direction.
These generators can be used to power up water pumping stations and keep essential services running. If Muskogee gets flooding but other communities get power outages due to ice, these state-owned generators can wheel out anywhere to anyone that needs them.
We keep those maintained and operational. They may take those generators and pre-position them, like let's say in the Tulsa area, closer to where the ice storms are going to be, where they suspect the power outages are going to be. And this goes on behind the scenes all the time.
In Muskogee, Tony Russell, News on 6.
And you can keep up with the latest news, weather, and traffic with News on 6 apps, or just text 6Connect to 79640 and get alerts sent right to your phone.
Tulsa City Council is pushing for a new approach to foster better relationships between police and the public. The pilot program is called Project Trust, and it's a partnership between Tulsa Public Schools and the Tulsa Police Department. News on 6 reporter Marty Casper spoke with those behind an approach aimed at helping students. He's live outside City Hall with that story. Marty?
Scott, as the city and country continue to work through police and racial issues, Tulsa is focusing on engaging its youth. It's a partnership
where TPD can learn,
meant to rebuild and strengthen Tulsa's bond.
There is a good relationship in the community with our police department, but there's a little bit more that we can do.
District 5 Counselor Karen Gilbert is one of those behind Project Trust, saying as a mother and an employee of TPS, she noticed something was missing from these conversations.
We had the community there, the adults, the parents, but there was one thing that was missing.
The kids. So Project Trust will launch as a pilot program next week at McLean High School.
And what we're going to do is be working with a small group of students, 15 max.
McLean saw the benefits of community support. Just last week, a student was arrested after bringing a loaded gun to school. But the district says quick communication led to the discovery of the gun and hasty removal of the student from the school grounds.
Just getting out there and building stronger relationships and trust, especially with our youth.
The program will survey students about what they think and feel about police.
Learning from the students, understanding what their concerns are and responding to those.
Then use that insight to help police ensure students feel safe, valued, and respected.
This allows there to be a deeper trust established across the community.
Counselor Gilbert says there will be bi-weekly meetings geared to foster trust.
And work with our youth, who is the future of our city.
Again, this is only a pilot program. Once insight is gathered, the Mayor's Youth Council as well as Tulsa Public Schools Youth Council will meet to refine the program before launching it district-wide. Reporting live in downtown Tulsa, Marty Casper, News on 6.
We have a warning for drivers tonight. Just an hour ago, the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority shut down the northbound lanes at the Muskogee Turnpike at the Creek Turnpike interchange to make emergency repairs. The lanes will be closed until 5 tomorrow morning, and anyone trying to access the area will have to take a detour. In the day ahead, activist Aaron Brockovich will be in Pawnee and Cushing to talk with people impacted by fracking-induced earthquakes. At noon, she'll be at the Pawnee Nation's Rome Chief Building. Then at 5:30, she'll be at Cushing's High School Auditorium, and Friday at noon she'll speak at the theater at OSU.
The city of Tulsa wants to keep highway lights on, but thieves are still leaving some roadways in the dark, stealing wiring. Tulsa Streets Director says while crews have made progress fixing lights, thieves are still stealing that wire. Although the city says since switching to cheaper aluminum wires and installing locking doors, the thefts are slowing down.
They're hitting the lights throughout the entire system. I mean, there isn't an area that they haven't hit. What we're doing is the newer lights, as they're getting turned over to us, we're switching, putting new doors on those.
Police are catching some of the thieves, but they're asking for the public to call them if they see anyone suspicious around that highway lighting. The double murder trial for a man accused of killing his pregnant girlfriend began today.
That's one of the stories you might have missed. Kenneth Hopkins is accused of shooting Marsha Wesson 4 years ago. Wesson was 8.5 months pregnant at the time. The victim's cousin testified Hopkins wanted Wesson to have an abortion because he already had 3 children and did not want to support another.
The lawsuit over Tulsa's Helmerich Park could be settled with mediation, but after a full day of talks, the city and a group trying to preserve the park were unable to say if they have an agreement. The two sides were ordered to mediation by a judge. If they can't reach an agreement, the case will go to trial this summer. Well, we told you earlier it was almost 80 degrees today on the Osage Casino Skycam network, but don't count on that kind of weather this time tomorrow. Coming up in 6 minutes, Travis tells us who might see ice and who might see a lot of rain.
Plus, the big changes going on in the Brookside neighborhood.
But next at 10, why the regional president wanted to check out small businesses in Green Country before heading back to Washington, D.C.